Good morning, how are you doing? I am Tracy, your political atheist, and it is Sunday, which means it is time for me to give you my thoughts on this week's shit show. I'm going to focus today on the American war on the Iranian citizens. Now, before you start with the disinformation, misinformation nonsense, understand this right now. First thing I'm going to do, I don't give a damn. Okay? Call it whatever you want, I don't really care. This is my opinion from my observation, what I've watched throughout the last few years. Now, to understand the full spectrum of the whole thing, you have to go back to late 50s. Mid to late 50s. The king of Iran nationalized the oil. He had the audacity to decide that British Petroleum did not have the right to just come in and steal the oil from the Iranian people. What a son of a bitch. Put its people ahead of British Petroleum profits. That's a crime that could not be forgiven. So what did British Petroleum do? Well, they went back to Britain like the whiny little bitch they are, to the Queen, and she got America involved. Next thing we know, we are helping the king's son became Shah, which means King of Kings, as John Perkins in the new economic hit collection of the Economic Hitman explained in chapters 18 through 20, explained the Shah just means the King of Kings. This put him above all the others. Now, he was not a nice person. He was known for doing all kinds of things. Kind of horrible things like cut off your nose, your hands, your lips, whatever. Then in 1979, Iranian people, the very ones that are running the government now, the country now, were the teachers, the lawyers, the administrators, all of them, are the same ones who took part in that revolution, which ended with the Shah running his belly up, tail between his legs, like a little bitch that he was, out of Iran, along with his wife and his pack of brats. They sought shelter here, and we have been cursed with those little rat fuckers ever since. Now this brings us to where we are in the 80s. For like 4 or 8 years, we supported the Iraqi government, Saddam Hussein, another one which we put in charge of Iraq. So we could steal the oil and rape the children. Well, our politicians and oligarchs could rape the children there. Most people would be disgusted by it. You can't tell I'm walking along this little river here. I had to get out for a little while. Anyway, back to Saddam Hussein. We are the ones that put him in charge of the Ba'ath Party, which eventually put him in charge of Iraq. You see a pattern emerging here, because I certainly do. Eventually, he became such a problem that in 2003, we were lied to and told that he had weapons of mass destruction. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We gave it to him. The difference is, it was not anthrax. We gave him mustard gas in the 80s to use on Iran. Well, the fact that we even gave it to him with the intention of using it is pretty disgusting to me. I don't know about you. Moving on. It gets better, as I said. He used much gas on the Kurds once the Iran-Iraq war were over, and it became very, very clear that British Petroleum stealing the oil from the Iranian people was not going to restart anytime soon. In other words, British Petroleum, the Crown, and America got their asses handed to them. So la vie comes 1990-1991. The year I entered my senior year of high school and graduated. At that point, we were told that Saddam Hussein was going into hospitals, troops were going to hospitals in Kuwait, but who was supposed to be a nurse, and throwing newborn infants on cold concrete floors. Well, bullshit alert should have happened there, because that never happened. The supposed nurse was actually the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador to America. There's another pattern right there. I told you guys almost 11 years. April 19th will be 11 years I started doing this. And I've said all along, there is nothing too grotesque for a government to do to keep power. Example number 4, there. 1 was the Shah. 2 should have been the use of Agent Orange in Vietnam. 3 was the Iran-Iraq war, in which, P.S., we provided arms for both sides. There you go. Now, example number 4 was the ambassador's daughter parading herself around like a whore, actually a nurse, which she's supposed to have been, but the first one describes it a lot better. Not only was the Iraqi troops not in Iraq, throwing infants on the cold cement floors, they weren't in Iraq, in Kuwait, at all. Never. It has since come out that we actually are the ones that blew up the oil wells. We did it, not Iraq. It has also come out since that 2001 was a lie. 9/11, complete utter lie. There was actually an investigation that was supposed to have started on September 12th into a huge scam that we now know as the internet.com bubble. Yeah, there was an investigation that was supposed to happen. And who was going to be mentioned in that one? Well, let's see. There was Larry Silverstein, the owner of the building for the World Trade Center. Epstein, of course. And to go along the line of the usual pedophile lineup. There's pattern number 5, by the way. This should be so obvious to anybody with half a brain cell, to be honest with you. I'm actually getting to come over to that lake. Is where we're headed at this point. But anyway, we're going to Afghanistan. What is that really about? Well, not one shred of evidence has ever been produced showing Osama bin Laden was actually involved with orchestrating 9/11. There has been proof of thermite being used to level the buildings. Now, what is that? You're probably asking, because I know I did. It's a widely used explosive in large-scale demolitions like, well, Trade Center buildings. Go figure, right? You know what was not ever found? The soil samples that was allowed to be gathered? Aviation fuel. Not one shred of evidence of it. You still think AI is new? No. No, it's not new. Let's look at the sky to that water place here. Not in the least. That's been around for a very, very long time. So, we're up to 9/11 bullshit scam. We're now looking at 2003, March, when Colin Powell sat in front of Congress, Senate, and said, with a vial that's supposed to be anthrax. Now, to my personal defense, I just had my daughter, still recovering from staph infection, and it was cesarean. Which cesarean is what caused staph infection. So I wasn't really thinking about this old goat who peaked in 91 in Vietnam. Is actually when he peaked, who was openly white but physically black. Here we go again, right? So he sits there and he says, we know that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. Bullshit. He already used them. He long since used them, spent them, done them, all that stuff. They were gone. He had nothing left. And that little vial of colored water, he said it was anthrax. Give me a break. Nobody, that level of education, is going to put a vial of anthrax up to their ears, up near their body, anywhere near their body, okay? They're just not going to do it. It's a stick that somebody's dog does not need to get hold of. But here's the deal. We now have to face the fact that we have been lied into pretty much every war that we've ever created. Now, we're going to bounce back to 2001, 9/11. Well, we'll go back to September 10th, right quick. Because that's when Donald Rumsfeld comes out and says there's like $10 billion they could not account for at the Pentagon. Well, do you know where the offices for the accounting department were? Right in where the missile went in. Not a plane, but a missile. My dad was still alive then, and he looked at that and he's like, there's no way a plane made that small of a hole. Now, this is somebody who jumped out of planes for living during Vietnam. Korea and Vietnam, okay? So there you go, that one. He made it very clear that that was a missile. And it turns out that's where the accounting department was. Yeah. So, what do we have? The lie upon lie upon lie upon lie. We have revolution that got rid of the person that allowed British Petroleum to steal gas, oil, from his own people, Shah. And now his son thinks he's going to be the leader of Iran. He hasn't lived there in over 30 years. You see, the Iranian people, they haven't forgot everything the Shah did. They haven't forgotten the abject poverty they lived in while he lived in luxury. The Shah's kids had everything handed to them, while the Iranian people had nothing. Kind of like here right now. Problem is, we don't have the guts or the balls to stand unanimously and say no. That's the difference. Alright, now, where do I see this situation going? Well, one or two things are going to happen. Trump, I think he's starting to realize he's bitten off more than he can chew right now. He's begging Putin on his knees for Putin to help mediate a ceasefire, who the hell is going to trust us? Think about it. We break treaties like we break wind. Our word is not worth nothing. Our dollar is barely worth 2 pennies that's in it. I'm just being completely honest here. We have lied, conned, bamboozled, hoodwinked, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm just calling it what it is. Bullshitted our way into a situation which we cannot get out of. You and I cannot get out of because we cannot put our heads out of our asses long enough to stop pointing fingers and see that the politicians are the real problem. That's a matter of fact. Like it, don't like it. I don't give a damn. Unsubscribe, move on with your life. I don't give a damn. That's the point I'm at with the whole thing. Now, I get it. You want to believe that Trump's going to bring peace. You want to believe Biden's going to be peace. You want to believe this one is, that one is. Their job is to keep us quarreling like children. That is their job. They are to keep us distracted and fighting with each other. That is their sole job. They are politicians. They are entertainers. Puppets for the Rothschild family. You know what they want in the Middle East? They want the eradication of 2 religions. Christianity and Islam. They also want the Orthodox and Sephardic branches of Judaism gone. They want to come down to where it is your Ashkenazi, N-A-Z-I, we'll come back to that in a minute, Jewish, or your atheist or Satanist, Luciferian, devil worshiper, whatever the hell you want to call them, they're all the same to me. Now, back to the N-A-Z-I part of Ashkenazi. How quick are we to call somebody a Nazi if they don't agree with us? Well, here's the deal. The people who occupy Israel now are not the original tribe of Jacob. They're not. Like it, don't like it. Again, I don't give a damn. That is a simple fact. You ask him to do a 23andMe DNA test to prove they're Arab, they're Semitic, and they belong there, they will not do it. As a matter of fact, they're not allowed to. 23andMe is not allowed in Israel. Look it up. Now this video I'm going to do is going to be on the Greater Israel Project. Because if this nightmare on the world street comes to fruition, we're all, pardon my language, fucked. If you're not a Satanist, Luciferian, devil worshiper, Ashkenazi Jew, or atheist, you're going to be fucked. There will be no more Arab culture. There will be no more Christianity. They will be called Christian, but the fact that they will be a Judeo-Christian, which that's just a bullshit term. But we'll get into that another time. I've already taken up, what, almost 40 minutes here. This is going to be nice. We're going to say get a dock built. There's somebody over here surveying and stuff. I don't want to get them in the middle of this. But it's going to be like a dock, a walkway out here. It's going to be nice when you get it built, if they ever get it built. But I'll see you guys next week.